What was your first interaction with virtual reality or augmented reality or anything like that? It's a good question. Somebody was writing an article about this. It was by Holovision, titled "Didn't That Commercial Have Virtual Reality?" And it's regarding the 1990s. And he was talking about something about the metaverse, and it was about the Lawnmower Man movie from there was two movies from the 90s. I remember that. And then he went on to talk about a commercial that he saw from 93, and it was something about a head cannon or some kind of uh, thing that you put on your head, and it was an interesting commercial. I think it was a commercial for some kind of candy like Starbucks, no, Starbursts. And you eat it and you taste the fruit, and it's so immersive as it's as if you are in virtual reality. And then somebody posted a parody that the Family Guy did, the Family Guy show, of Star Wars, and it was it was a part where Leia was trying to send a message to Luke or to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then couldn't because the internet wasn't working, and the internet was really slow because it was dial up in the 90s. And I have not seen that yet for some reason, but I understand, and I thought that was pretty brilliant. I left a comment on that post. It's on Hive blog. It's in a community group that I created called the 1990s, and he posted this article about that, about virtual reality and all of that. And my comment was, I may have seen this commercial or others. I saw a Lawnmower Man and it caught my attention. I may have seen episodes of The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone or other science fiction movies or shows relating to virtual reality. I'm not exactly sure. When I first started thinking about virtual reality, it was probably in the last half of the 90s, or at least by then. Wait, it must have been the holodeck on Star Trek The Next Generation. Technically, that might have been more like augmented reality, AR, as opposed to VR, virtual reality. Well, it is like VR casted onto an AR setting. I started watching Picard and that series probably in the early 90s, and at least by 92 I was 7 years old during my first time visiting California from Oregon. And right before we went, I think I was watching an episode, or at least part of it, at least the intro. I would listen to the intro part because I like the music, and I enjoyed seeing the spaceship go in and out of the frame of the screen. And then I eventually started watching the show gradually as I got older in the 90s. And I don't remember exactly when I first saw the holodeck, but I assume around 92, but not sure which year. But I was watching the show at least by 92. After that, I was really excited to see the Star Trek Generations in '94 on the big screen. It was a pretty good movie. At the time, I mean, looking back, not so much, but at the time it was pretty cool, and pretty cool to see Picard meet Captain Kirk. I definitely remember the holodeck in that movie, and so that at least by then was my first time seeing something related to VR. Wait, did you say the VR helmet was a lie? It did nothing, or not so much. That's too bad. Yeah, and that commercial, perhaps she drugged him and tied him up. Perhaps he was imagining being in a VR, but was really just high, or was being slowly murdered. Maybe this is a thing you see as you are dying, as your life flashes before your very eyes. our library had an intranet, not to be confused with an internet. And I remember that in the 90s, my mom would hop on the computers. I'd order books, which were sometimes at other libraries. She would make requests on their network catalog. My first time using the internet was at least by 97. I was at a friend's house. This was in southern Oregon. We're having a trip down there to see some of my relatives and family on my dad's side for the first time. Like, it was because he grew up down there around Gold Hill and Medford, and I remember being uh, one of the houses had internet, and I was on it, and I remember looking at a few different websites made for children. I think it was just a few websites, like web pages relating to Disney cartoon characters and other pop cultural figures, maybe Star Wars, maybe a few other entertainment related items which were trending, or were like on the front page or the menu or whatever. Like, I don't know exactly what it was, but I started using the internet once a month or more for an hour or random time, starting as early as like 98, 97, 98 at the library and or at home too. Eventually we got dial up via AOL, a bring up internet, because internet gave us Facebook, which reminds me of a government program called LifeLog, which ended the day that Facebook started in 2004. And Facebook eventually gave us Meta, and Meta, the metaverse is like VR, or it is VR, or it will be. Like, I believe they're buying up companies, VR companies, and preparing people to be ready for the Matrix or whatever they can get away with.